Hello everyone, Switch Down here. I decided to do another fair video about Cadance. About Cadance, there was after yesterday when the last video I made were about if Cadance could have been Twilight's real mom. What about if she could have been Twilight's sister? I mean, they shared almost the same coat color and almost like the same design. But there might be some questions around how would she be able to be Twilight's sister in this perspective? Well, there are a few ideas that how she could have been Twilight's sister. For example, number one, what if that either of Twilight's parents were engaged or something before they met each other and had a, and that let's say if there were Twilight's dad who were engaged with somebody else and that particular pony already had a daughter which Nightlight adopted and to be like a stepdaughter, and when Cadence's mom had passed away, since Nightlight had already adopted Cadance as his own daughter, still kept her to raise her. And then perhaps at some point he met um, Twilight Velvet, Twilight's mom, and they later had Shining Armor, and a few years later they had Twilight. And that means that she could have been adopted into the family as step sibling, which is very likely to happen. Or the second is that Cadance could have been Twilight's half-sister from a previous relationship. If either her mom or her dad were engaged with someone else and had a daughter, and that this relationship that they didn't work out so well, and the parent didn't want to keep his daughter anymore, so either if it was Twilight's mom or dad kept Cadance as a family and later got married with Intershield's partner, like if it was Twilight's mom, got married with Nightlight, who had a daughter previously, and they had Shining Armor, which also later on had Twilight. And since we all know that Cadance and Shining Armor are almost very likely the same age, maybe only 1 or 2 years younger or older apart, but still, they were probably in the same age group as them. And the other part of that if the and number three, what if Cadance was actually Twilight's half sister or full sister, and that Shining Armor were her full brother? But that would mean no Flurry Heart, no Crystal Empire at all. But if that was true, let's say if their staff could have considered to make Cadance to be like a full sibling or a half sibling to Twilight and Shining Armor, and that she could have been, let's say for example, that still she was raised by Celestia to how to be a princess, because since Twilight's parents don't know how to raise a princess. But let's say from Indes's point of view that if Cadance did actually was raised as a princess by Celestia, but still kept part of the Sparkle family, but at the same time, later at some point, she became the ambassador for Equestria. Maybe she was sent to Saudi Arabia or Mauritania. For example, here, since that if the Cadance were Twilight's half sister, that would mean that she couldn't marry Shining Armor, because that would be wrong in many ways. But anyways, what if that she was still part of the Sparkle family, but raised how to be a princess by Celestia and to be adopted as her adopted niece. Even if that was part of it is true, but still there might be a question what could have happened to later on in that. Like, instead for a royal wedding, what if there's a royal return? Or a royal your reunion? Like, Cadance could have been a way to sell Arabia for some time and returns back home to Canterlot to reunite with her family again after, and then they could have been introduced to the show to the fandom that Cadance were Twilight's half sister, not as the sister-in-law. But if that was not in that case, then we have number 4. What if Cadance were adopted into the family? And you may ask, how could that be likely possibility? Here, let me explain. If Cadance's family were passed away, or if one of the parents couldn't raise her, and that she were put up in an orphanage, and then even then Twilight and Shining Armor was already there. I mean, not the orphanage, but you understand what I mean. But what if that Cadance were at the orphanage as a Pegasi, and then Twilight herself could have been maybe 4 or 5 years old, and she asked her parents if she could have a sister to play with. See, she has a big brother Isa as her best friend, but she wants a sister. Perhaps her parents don't want to have any more children by themselves, but then they decided maybe they could adopt a child from a local orphanage in Canterlot. So they decided to pick Cadance. That would make sense because then she would be part of the Sparkle family, and later she would do something princess-worthy deed, and later be adopted by Celestia to be a princess and Alicorn. But still be part of the Sparkle family, still being raised by the Celestia, how to behave and how to be as a princess. That would make sense, don't you? I mean, the only logic explanation for me that if Cadance could have been Twilight's and Shining Armor's sister, that is either that she could have been adopted into the family from a local orphanage in Canterlot, or that she could have been either Twilight Velvet or Nightlight's daughter from a previous relationship at some point. That is the only two most likely possibilities that I believe in this theory. I mean, but if I had to choose, I will pick that Cadance were adopted from an orphanage and later turned into Alicorn after she'd been proven to do something princess-worthy deed. Exactly how much more about Cadance's family line, except from in the non-canon, is I don't know. There are many, but still from that part, I believe Cadance could have actually been adopted into the Sparkle family by her parents. But there still might be some fans or viewers might think, Swishdown, do you think that is even possible that she could have been adopted into the family? I would have to say yes, because if you think about it, in the canon still part of the show, there's only one known bloodline of the Cadance is known. Princess Amor, the first ruler of the Crystal Empire. That's the only known family member we know about her. We don't know any parents, siblings, or uncles, or any other relatives. Only Princess Amor, a distant ancestor to Cadance. But I've got to say though, Cadance to be adopted by Twilight's parents from an orphanage, I think if that was as an episode storyline in an official show, that would have been an amazing storyline. Like, even if Cadance were never married to Shining Armor, and that Crystal Empire could still have returned, and that Cadance could have been adopted by Twilight's parents, and then at some point the Crystal Empire returns, and Celestia finds out that Cadance is the rightful heir to the throne of the Crystal Empire, that her family has been part of the royal family of the Empire until Sombra uses magic and cursed this town and this entire empire to vanish from millennia. Except perhaps one of the family members of the royal family managed to escape in time, and that would explain why Cadance would be the only known family member left, since Celestia finds out that Cadance is the only true in her the true heir to the throne of the Empire, would also be a great storyline. Like seeing the background in flashback, seeing how Twilight explained to that her parents explains about Cadance and Shining Armor and Twilight, that they adopted Cadance when she was very young, perhaps the same age as Shining Armor, and that they had no idea about her family. They didn't know nothing about Cadance's past, like who her parents were and where they from, and he didn't even believe that and had no clue that she was royal blood. And it was perhaps even until after the Empire returned, and that Celestia could have some artifact from the Empire and then glows like a crystal. Let's say if this crystal glows when this Empire returns and even shows an image of the last known family tree, the family member of the Crystal Empire's family tree, throne, and to be Cadance. That could explain why. Example is, well, what do I have to say? If I had to say that could have been a great storyline, I have to say yes. Seeing how Twilight, Shining Armor, and Cadance finds out that she was adopted, but later turns out to find out that she is the only heir to the Crystal Empire throne, and that she has a power how to stop Sombra with help of Twilight from him to ever turn back to power again. I mean, that would be an amazing storyline. And even if that it would never be a part of the official show, it could still be as a great fan fiction story. I mean, that is great. You never know exactly how much you know about the family bandit tree yourself and sort of things, but still. But I believe that Cadance could have been adopted by Twilight's parents in Canterlot when she was the same age as Shining Armor, and since Twilight wanted a sister. But anyways, that is I believe. But if you have your own opinion, your thoughts about this particular theory, if Cadance could have been Twilight's sister, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Switch Diablo, over and out.